right, so welcome to another deep dive. And today we're taking a look at this really interesting concept from Tibetan Buddhism called Bardo. Now, it often gets kind of shrouded in mystery, but we've got this fantastic YouTube video from Dzongkar Khyentse Rinpoche, where he explains Bardo through the lens of tripping.
Wow.
Have you ever thought about life as one big trip?
Yeah, definitely. He's really good at that, at taking these kind of heady concepts and bringing them down to a level that we can kind of grasp, right?
Yeah, totally. So to unpack this, let's start with like the basics, right? What exactly is Bardo?
Yeah, so I mean, like at its most basic, most fundamental level, Bardo just means in between.
Okay.
It refers to any transitional state, that space between 2 points. And Rinpoche gives this great analogy of being in between two tables.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, to just illustrate that idea. Like it's that simple.
Right. It's like a gap, a space of becoming.
Exactly.
But I think a lot of people, when they hear Bardo, they think of what happens after death, right?
Yeah.
That in-between state before rebirth.
For sure. For sure. That's a very common understanding.
Yeah.
But, Rinpoche challenges that that kind of limited view. He points out that even right now, as you're listening to this deep dive, you're in a Bardo experience. Life itself is a Bardo.
Whoa, that's a bit of a mind bender.
Yeah.
So if we're always in this Bardo state, how do we even begin to kind of make sense of that? What does that actually mean for how we experience the world?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And that's where it starts to get, really, really fascinating. So to help us kind of understand, how this all works, Rinpoche brings in this Mahayana Buddhist concept of Buddha nature. And it's the idea that all beings, yes, even you and I, possess the potential for enlightenment, for awakening to our true nature. It's like a seed within us, just waiting for the right conditions to blossom.
Okay, so we've got this Buddha nature seed inside us, but if everyone has it, why don't we all, feel enlightened? Why are we still tripping through life?
Well, think of it this way. The journey from the moment we are completely unaware of our Buddha nature to the moment we fully realize it, that whole journey is the ultimate trip, the biggest Bardo of all.
I'm starting to see how he's weaving all these ideas together.
Yeah.
So it's not just about these traditional Bardos between death and rebirth.
Right.
It's about this constant state of in-betweenness as we kind of move toward awakening.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about time? Right? It feels like such a fixed linear thing. How does that fit into the Bardo concept?
Yeah. Well, that's where it gets even wilder. Rinpoche actually quotes Jemgon Kongtrul Lodrote.
Okay.
And he wrote this massive work called the Encyclopedia of Knowledge.
Wow.
And in it, he compares the vastness of a bodhisattva's journey to a fleeting spark.
Hold on. Who's a bodhisattva?
So think of a bodhisattva as someone who's deeply dedicated to achieving enlightenment.
Right.
And not just for themselves, but for the benefit of all beings.
Okay.
So imagine the time, the dedication that requires. It's immense. Right?
Okay, so this bodhisattva is on this epic journey toward enlightenment, and it's being compared to a tiny spark.
Exactly.
What's the point of that?
Well, it highlights the illusory nature of time.
Okay.
We tend to think of time as this rigid, linear thing, but what if it's far more fluid, and relative than we realize.
So all those lifetimes of practice, all those eons, they're like a tiny blip.
Exactly.
In the grand scheme of things.
Exactly. It really puts our human perception of time into perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It makes you wonder what we're all getting so worked up about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a key point about understanding Bardo. It challenges us to question our assumptions about reality, including our very experience of time.
So we've got this ultimate Bardo, right? This cosmic journey toward realizing our Buddha nature. And it's happening on this massive, almost incomprehensible timescale.
Right.
But how does this Bardo, play out in our everyday lives? I mean, most of us aren't, bodhisattvas spending eons in deep meditation.
Right, right. Well, and that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
Rinpoche says we're constantly experiencing Bardo on smaller, more relatable scales.
Yeah.
Think about those times when you're trying to meditate and your mind just won't settle down. It keeps getting distracted by thoughts or sounds or even the effort to concentrate itself.
Oh, tell me about it. I've had plenty of meditation sessions that felt more like, like a mental roller coaster than a peaceful retreat.
Exactly. And that my friend is a classic Bardo experience. Your mind is flitting between different states of awareness and distraction, just caught in that in-between space. It's like trying to focus on one thing, but your mind keeps pulling you in different directions. You're tripping in the truest sense of the word.
So every time we get distracted or space out or lose our focus, that's like a mini Bardo.
You got it.
Kind of playing out in our minds.
Exactly. And these mini Bardos, they're happening constantly throughout the day, not just during meditation.
Okay, I'm starting to see Bardo everywhere now.
Yeah.
But there's another example that Rinpoche uses that I found really interesting. The one about looking at a Buddha statue.
Oh, yeah.
Can you walk us through that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So he instructs people to simply sit and look at a Buddha statue.
Okay.
Seems simple enough, right? But then he asks what actually happens in your mind during that seemingly, straightforward exercise.
I'm guessing it's not as simple as it sounds.
No, not at all.
Okay.
We might start out with good intentions, trying to focus on the statue.
Yeah.
But then inevitably our minds start to wander, right? We get distracted by sounds, thoughts pop up. We get caught up in judgments about the statue or even about our own ability to concentrate. We're tripping all over the place.
That's so relatable. It feels like trying to, hold water in your hand.
Yeah, yeah.
The harder you grip, the more slips through your fingers.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And what's so brilliant about this example is that it really demonstrates how Bardo, manifests in even the most mundane activities. We're constantly moving between these states of focus and distraction,
right,
clarity and confusion. It's this constant flux, this in-betweenness that makes up our experience.
So even something as simple as looking at a statue can become this mini Bardo, this microcosm of our larger journey toward awakening.
Exactly. And here's where it gets, really, really interesting. Rinpoche, he connects this Bardo experience to our very sense of self, to the identities that we construct around ourselves.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How does our identity tie into all of this? Tripping through Bardo.
Right. Well, he points out that our ideas about who we are, our roles, our relationships, our beliefs, our aspirations, these are all part of the trip. They're not, they're not fixed, they're not solid entities, but rather they're temporary constructs subject to change.
Great. So even our most cherished identities are just part of the Bardo, part of this constant flux.
That's a great way to put it. He's really challenging us to consider what are we so desperately clinging to? What are we afraid to let go of? And how is that clinging, that attachment, keeping us tripping in the Bardo?
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught in that trap.
Oh, absolutely.
Where we identify with these temporary things as if they were like the core of our being.
Right.
But Rinpoche he's kind of inviting us to see through those illusions, right? To recognize that impermanence of everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
It reminds me of that famous Buddhist saying, all things arise and pass away.
Right.
It seems like understanding Bardo is all about coming to terms with that impermanence.
It is, absolutely. And the more we resist that flow of experience, the more we suffer, right? That clinging, that grasping.
Yeah.
That's a hallmark of the Bardo experience. It's what keeps us stuck in those cycles of tripping.
So how do we break free? How do we stop tripping and start seeing things more clearly?
Well, there's no magic formula, right?
Okay.
But Rinpoche really emphasizes the importance of awareness.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those moments when we get hooked by thoughts or emotions or even those external distractions.
Yeah.
It's about noticing the trip as it's happening.
It sounds a lot like mindfulness.
Exactly. Yeah.
That practice of paying attention to the present moment.
Right.
Without judgment.
Yeah, exactly. It's not about achieving some perfect state of stillness or emptying your mind completely.
Right.
It's about bringing a gentle, curious awareness to your experience, observing the constant movement of your mind without getting swept away by it.
So instead of trying to stop the trip, we need to get more aware of how we're tripping.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. By observing our own minds, we start to see the patterns, the habits, the ways in which we create our own suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And that awareness is the first step toward liberation.
It's like we're becoming the scientists of our own experience.
I love that analogy.
Right, collecting data without getting lost in the story.
Exactly. And as we become more adept at this inner observation, we begin to see the gaps, the spaces between those thoughts and emotions.
Right.
And those moments of spaciousness, however fleeting,
Yeah.
those are where we can really glimpse our true nature.
It's like we're finding those pockets of stillness within that constant flux of the Bardo. Those moments where we're not caught in the trip, but simply observing it.
Exactly. And those moments of stillness, however brief they are, they're incredibly precious.
Mm-hmm.
They give us, a little taste of what it means to be free from the limitations of our conditioned mind.
This is all starting to make sense now.
Good.
But I have to admit, it feels a bit daunting to think about, observing every little thought, every feeling throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
No, I hear you. It can definitely feel overwhelming at first.
Right.
But remember, it's not about being, perfect or becoming some kind of mindfulness, guru or something.
Right.
It's really about just bringing a gentle curiosity to your experience.
Yeah.
You can start small by noticing those big, obvious moments when you get totally swept away by a strong emotion or distraction.
You mean like when I get road rage and start yelling at other drivers?
Well, that's one example, but it could also be something as simple as getting lost in a daydream or mindlessly scrolling through social media or compulsively checking your email.
Right.
The key is to simply notice without judgment.
Yeah.
I'm chipping again.
So it's about catching ourselves in the act, not beating ourselves up about it.
Exactly.
It's about recognizing those Bardo moments as they arise.
Precisely. And as you practice this, you'll start to notice those more subtle Bardo moments.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the day. The moment you space out in a meeting or the moment you compare yourself to someone else or the moment you get caught up in a worry about the future.
Yeah.
These are all opportunities to wake up.
It's like we're training our minds to be more present, more aware of the trip itself.
Yeah.
Without getting lost in the scenery.
That's a great way to put it. And as we cultivate this awareness, we start to see that our true nature, that Buddha nature that we talked about.
Right.
It's always there. It's beneath the surface of all those thoughts, those emotions, those distractions.
It's like the Buddha nature's the ground of being.
Mm-hmm.
And all these Bardo experiences are just the temporary weather patterns passing through.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. And just like the weather, these Bardo experiences, they come and they go. They don't, define who we truly are.
This is such a powerful shift in perspective.
Yeah.
It's not about eliminating the Bardo,
right,
because that's impossible.
Right.
but about changing our relationship to it. Yeah.
Exactly. By recognizing Bardo as a natural part of existence, we can stop fighting it
Right.
and start to see it as an opportunity for growth and awakening.
I love that. It's like we're turning the trip into a learning experience.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What can our listeners kind of take away from this wild ride through the Bardos?
Yeah, it feels like we've really covered some ground in this deep dive, right?
Oh, we have.
We've gone from tripping out to tuning in, exploring, the Bargo from those cosmic time scales
Oh.
to those everyday moments of distraction. It's been a really interesting journey for sure. So for you, what stands out?
Well, I think what's really sticking with me is this idea that we don't have to wait for death, right?
Yeah.
To experience the Bardo, it's happening right now.
Right.
In every moment of our lives.
Yeah.
And recognizing that, becoming aware of those Bardo moments can actually be a pathway to greater freedom and understanding.
Yeah, I love that. It's not about escaping the Bardo. That's impossible.
Right.
But about changing our relationship to it. Instead of seeing it as something to fear or avoid.
Yeah.
We can actually kind of embrace it.
Yeah.
As an opportunity for growth and awakening.
It's like we're all on this cosmic road trip, right? And the Bardo is like the constantly changing scenery outside the window.
Yeah.
Right. There will be moments of smooth sailing, breathtaking vistas.
Yeah.
And unexpected detours, right?
Right.
But the key is we're not the scenery.
Yeah.
We're the ones experiencing it. We have the choice to get lost in the passing sights,
Yeah.
or to simply observe them with a sense of wonder and curiosity.
Yeah, that's so crucial. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we relate to the Bardo, to all of those thoughts and emotions and experiences that arise and pass away.
So how do we cultivate that sense of spaciousness?
Yeah.
Right. That ability to observe without getting swept away by the trip.
Right.
It feels like a real skill to develop.
Yeah, it is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Meditation is an incredibly powerful tool for training the mind.
Right.
To be more present, to be more aware of that constant flow of experience without getting, caught in the undertow.
That's like building those mental muscles.
Yeah.
That allow us to step back from the chaos and observe it all with greater clarity and perspective.
Precisely. And as we practice, we start to realize something really profound. We're not our thoughts.
Yeah.
We're not our emotions. We're not even our story.
We're something much, much vaster, right?
Yeah.
Something that encompasses all of those things.
Yeah.
But isn't defined by them.
Exactly. That's the Buddha nature, peeking through that sense of spacious awareness. That's always present, even amidst the storms of the Bardo.
It sounds like the Bardo, even with all its challenges, all its distractions, can actually be a teacher, right? Guiding us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and the nature of reality.
It absolutely can be. It's all about, shifting our perspective. Instead of seeing, the Bardo as something to fear or avoid, we can, embrace it as this opportunity for growth, for awakening, for realizing our true potential.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
Yeah.
We started by talking about tripping, and now it feels like we've gained this whole new level of clarity and understanding about this profound concept of Bardo.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been really fun to explore this together.
Yeah. And I hope our listeners is feeling that same sense of discovery.
Me too.
So as we wrap up, I want to leave our listener with this question. What are you currently tripping on? What attachments, what identities, what distractions are preventing you from seeing your own Buddha nature? Take a moment to observe those Bardo moments throughout your day.
Yeah. Yeah, great
and
advice.
see what you discover.
And remember, you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
We're all tripping through the Bardo together,
Yeah,
stumbling, learning, and growing along the way.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive, and we'll see you next time.